Good day. Welcome to your first official lesson on Joseph. And this is now Bible Ed. And Joseph had a wonderful adventure of a life because we learn from Joseph that God had a plan with his life. Although Joseph didn't realize it from the beginning, at the end, when we look back, then you realize, oh, God, this was God's plan. Now, the name Joseph means may he add. So let's quickly see the whole story of Joseph and God's plan for his life. We can find in Genesis, verse from chapter 37. Now, this is the last story of the book of Genesis. It starts with Adam and Eve and creation. It ends with the story of Joseph. And then the next book, Exodus, starts with Moses. Now, I want you to see something here. This was all God's plan. And how Joseph had to fit into God's plan. And just like that, God has a plan for your life. All right, so we're just going to see what was God's plan and how did God organize it. So let's look at his family. I don't know if you remember about Joseph and his family. His dad was Jacob. Now you remember Jacob and Esau were twins, and Esau was hairy and red. That's the name. Esau means hairy, or Edom means red. And he was a man of the veld, and Jacob, he was a softie, but he was a deceiver. He was a ladies' man. He wanted to stay in a tent. He didn't want to get sunburn, and he loved to stay in the tent and make food and make the girls laugh, and so on. He was a fun guy, and he was funny, I suppose. This is how I picture Jacob. But Esau was serious. Esau was out in the veld for 2-3 weeks, and he wanted to be sunburned. He loved staying out in the veld. And so these two, they actually were in competition because Jacob wished that he was the oldest. So he tricked his brother and he tricked his father so that he can be the oldest. And God allowed it. And the blessings of the oldest son came onto Jacob. All right, remember that. His dad at the end had 4 wives. He wanted to marry the beautiful Rachel. Remember, Jacob ran away and he went to Haran, where he escaped from his brother who wanted to kill him. And he stayed there for many years, 21 years. And he was so much in love with his cousin. It wasn't cousin, it was actually a aunt. It was a bit further. The beautiful Rachel. But they were the same age, I suppose. They don't tell us exactly. But his father-in-law tricked him. And at the end, Jacob had 4 wives. So, but when God saw that Rachel gets all the love from Jacob, and Jacob didn't love Leah, and he didn't show any love to her, so God allowed Leah to have children. She gave him 6 sons. and Rachel had no children. But later on, Jacob prayed and asked God, please, Lord, please give her a child. So then, when Jacob was an old man, and they were already old, then at the end, Rachel fell pregnant and Joseph was born. So Joseph was born in the old age of Jacob, when he was already on his way back home, and he hoped by now, after 21 years, that Esau forgave him. And so at the end, they were 12 brothers, because Rachel fell pregnant a second time on their way back to home, and where his mom and dad stayed, Isaac and Rebekah. Jacob's parents were Isaac and Rebekah. And on his way home, Rachel had a baby again, and you remember what happened. She died. She lost too much blood. It was a difficult birth, and the baby was okay, and she named the baby Benoni, or Ben-Oni, son of my hardship, son of my tears. But Jacob didn't like the name, or son of my sorrow. Jacob didn't like the name. He changed it to Benjamin, son of my right hand. Right, and they had also a sister, and I don't know if you can remember, but her name was Dinah. And something terrible happened to her, and that's something that you guys must remember. His sister Dinah, when she grew up and she visited her Philistine friends, she was raped by a Philistine prince. And so that was a big disaster. Poor Dinah. And according to those years, when you were raped, then no one wanted to marry you. You had to stay forever in your dad's house. So they lived in Beersheba. Now here's a picture of Beersheba today. The excavations. Okay. Now Beersheba was built around a well. Now the word Beersheba, Beer means well, like water, a pit, a well, and Sheba has two meanings. It can either mean 7 or it can mean oath, well of the oath. And what happened there is when they dug the well to find water, the Philistines wanted to take the well, and then Isaac made an agreement with him that he dug it, and that he didn't want to fight about it. They can take all his other wells, but they must leave this well for him. And so they made an oath there between him and the Philistines that this well will belong to the Israelites. Okay, so Beersheba is still there today, and you can go and have a look if you like. So this is a family of Jacob. He's all his children. So he had 13 children, 12 sons and 1 daughter. And they lived in Beersheba. I'm going to show you a map. Now you can see here at the top of the purple, there's Haran, where the family originally, where Abram came from. Abram's family stayed there. His dad died when they were in Haran, and God said he must leave. So that is by the Euphrates River. Euphrates and Tigris are very important rivers and very well known. Even today they are still there, although the Euphrates River is drying up. So Jacob, he moved from Haran back home after 21 years. And here you can see at the south, at the bottom, here is Beersheba. So here, this is the country of Israel today. Okay? Although it's in bits and pieces at the moment. This is the Mediterranean Sea. That means there's Europe. Europe is up there. That is more Turkey. And then you will have Greece and Rome, Italy. Alright. I think this is the island Crete. And this is Israel. This little bit here is Israel. Okay. All this is Muslim. There's Syria. They have wars there at the moment. Syria, Iraq, Arabia, Jordan, also Arabia, Egypt. They are all Muslim. And all of them are fighting against this little bit here of Israel. And Israel, their army is stronger than all their armies together. And they proved it a few times. But anyway, let's go back to the story. The most southern part of Israel is Beersheba, and the most northern part was Dan, the city. Dan here, Damascus, you can see here, is part of Syria at the moment. The Jordan River is the main river from north to south in Israel. Although there are little small rivers also, there are all rivers everywhere here, but that's the main river, the Jordan River. And that dam there is actually a sea, and that's the sea where Jesus walked on. Okay, the Sea of Galilee, that little blue spot there. And this bigger sea at the bottom is the Dead Sea. And so the Jordan River flows into the Dead Sea. The Jordan River starts up here somewhere in the mountains, in the Lebanon mountains. Its spring is there, and it flows, especially when it snows. And the snow melts in spring, then all that water flows down the valley here to the Sea of Galilee, all the way down to the Dead Sea. Now, at the moment, the Dead Sea is not dead anymore. God promised that the Dead Sea will come alive with fish, and that is happening at the moment. And the Dead Sea is losing a lot of water. The level is very low. So right next to, around the Dead Sea, are ponds of fresh water with fish in. And right in the middle of the Dead Sea, at the bottom, the floor of the Dead Sea, there's a spring that bubbles fresh water. So that's amazing. The plan that I heard is that they want to extend and build a canal from the Dead Sea all the way here to the Red Sea and connect it. Now, if that happens, then the Dead Sea won't be dead anymore. Then it will be just part of the Jordan River, and it will be all the way down there. Okay, so the prophecy that the Dead Sea will come alive, we see it's coming true. So, okay, there's Beersheba, and that is where Joseph grew up. All right, his whole life he stayed there until disaster happened. Now, Joseph had a happy life and unhappy life. Now, let's say why it's happy. He had a happy life because he was his dad's favorite child. Why? Because he was born from his dad's favorite wife. And Jacob, in front of all the other children, would love Joseph more and spoil Joseph more. And he was very scared that something will happen to Joseph, because Joseph's mother already died when Benjamin was born. The last born was Benjamin. And so I imagine that Joseph, because he grew up spoiled and his dad treated him differently than the rest of his brothers, they had to work outside in the sun. They worked like slaves. They were not slaves, but they worked hard in the sun. And Joseph, no. Joseph must be like Jacob. Joseph must stay in the tent, and he must stay with his dad, because his dad loved him. And so Joseph had soft hands, but Jacob told Joseph his life story and all the mistakes he made, and how God appeared to him, and the promises of God towards Abram, Isaac, and Jacob. And so Joseph, although he was a bit of a spoiled brat, he learned a lot about God while he spent lots of time with his dad. Now the brothers got upset. So Joseph was happy because he was spoiled. He had nice things to eat. He could sleep late. He didn't have chores to do. He was his dad's favorite. And so he had a happy life. Okay. No, he had an unhappy life because there was always fighting at home, because his brothers, they had to get up early, 4 o'clock in the morning, to go and milk the cows and go work in the hot sun. So the 10 older brothers, and maybe Benjamin also, they hated him because it was unfair. So they would push him around, and they would talk ugly to him and hated him. And I think that made his life unhappy. And I don't think, as young as he was, that he was wise enough. He would say things and do things that upset them. Where daddy loves me more than you. And then they would get extra upset. So poor Joseph. Now today I want to talk now about the difference between ambition and vision. Ambition is when you have a dream. You want to achieve something. Like you guys know who this is. This is a very famous South African. I'm sure he was born in South Africa, like Charlize Theron. This is Elon Musk, a very clever, very clever boy, like Bill Gates. And he's super rich, and he set goals, and he's very driven, very self-disciplined, and hardworking, and smart. And he developed this car, very modern sci-fi car, um, and it's called Tesla. And then also he has, I don't know if you remember, no, he has a space program, um, just like NASA. And he wants, his dream, his ambition is to start a village on Mars. And he developed a jet engine that is so fast that can travel, that people can travel to Mars in a few months instead of many years. This thing is so fast that you can travel to Mars in a few months, and he and his team developed already a way how we can survive on Mars and build a colony, a village with a glass dome, and how we will survive and have oxygen and food and everything. This guy, and he has lots of projects. He doesn't have one or two projects. He has about 10 projects at the same time. So very smart guy. Now, this is ambition. Ambition is my dream, and I work hard, and no one will stop me to get to my dream. Ambition makes people ugly. Ambition makes people think too much of themselves. That can happen. All right. And let's say you want to be the boss of the company. Ambition makes that you become nasty. You step on the others, and you use ugly methods to suck up, not to suck up, and to try and impress the boss, so the boss will give you promotion. So you want promotion, you want more money, you want, you have certain goals that you set, which is not totally bad. All right, it's good to have goals, like I want to achieve this and this in my marks, and that's ambition. That's my dream. Vision. This is Christian. This is God's dream for your life. Now, let's say my ambition is I want to be a pilot, but God's dream for my life is I must be a doctor. Okay, so sometimes my ambition and God's ambition for me, then that's called vision, are not the same. So, but because we belong to God and God made us, we must ask God, God, what is your plan for my life? What is your dream for my life? And now that's exactly what happened to Joseph. Joseph, um, I don't know if he had ambition. I think he was happy just the whole day to sit in the tent and spend time with his dad and play with his friends and so on. Okay, he didn't have, I don't know personally if he had much ambition. But vision, God had a plan for Joseph's life. And Joseph didn't understand exactly that God was going to change his life dramatically. Okay. So at this moment, Joseph is full of himself. He thinks he's better than his brothers. He's looking for trouble. He's teasing them. And he gets away with it because Jacob would defend him and say, hey, leave Joseph alone. All right. So God gave Joseph a dream, two dreams. And you can remember those two dreams. He dreamt they were all working in the field and that his pile of wheat would stand up straight and his brother's piles, okay, sheaves, bowed down to his. And now he wasn't wise. He went home. He went to the breakfast table and then he would brag about it. And he would say to his brothers, guess what I dreamed? I dreamed that all that we were in a field and all your wheat bowed down before mine. And they said to him, shut up, Joseph, you're a pain man. You think you are more important than us. That even when we work, you don't even work. You sit here at home and play all the time. You have soft hands. And Joseph said, listen, if I want to work, I can work hard. I can see what you guys are doing. But I think you guys don't work clever enough. I think you can work smarter. I think you guys waste a lot of time. I think you play around too much. You can be much more effective. You guys spend 10 hours in the sun working hard. If you just work smarter and work together as a team, then instead of 10 hours, you can work 6 hours and actually work better. Shut up, Joseph. What do you know? Understand, they were fighting like that. Then Joseph had another dream. Now remember, who gave him these dreams? God. It was about his future. And I think he knew that in future he will be more important. Well, he already thought he was more important than his brothers because his dad raised him like that. He thought that Beersheba will be a city and he will be the king of the city and his brothers will bow down before him. And then he had another dream. The sun, the moon, and 11 stars, which is his dad, his mom, and all his brothers will bow down before him. So that was his dream. The sun, moon, and stars bow down before him. Okay, but in our culture, we think the sun is male and the moon is female. If we know the sun and moon don't have gender. But in my head, I always thought, you know, in storybooks that you read, the sun is always a man and a moon is a woman. But in their culture, it's the other way around. The moon is a man, is male, and the sun female, just for interest sake. Okay, so God gave him a dream. He's 17 years old, and God gave him a dream about the future. And Joseph is not ready to be a ruler because he's too full of himself, he brags too much, he's causing trouble, and he likes his comfort, junk food, and to play around and all that. He's lazy. But God has a way to prepare you for the future. Okay, He has a way because God has a vision and God is determined to have His way in your life. So God is not fitting into your plans. You have to fit into God's plans. All right. So God sent him on a training trip, and you know what happened. His brothers hated him so much that they sold him. So you can see here, and God allowed it. God allowed it. They sold him to Egypt as a slave. You can see he's tied up there. His hands are tied up. And they sold him on a slave market. Okay, his brothers sold him to the Ishmaelites and caravan. That means a lot of camels traveling together. They were traders, and they bought him for a few 12 or 30 pieces of silver, and they took him to Egypt, and there they sold him to Potiphar. Potiphar was the head of the guard of the king. The king of Egypt was called Pharaoh. That's his title. So they didn't say king, they said Pharaoh. So he was captain of the guard, this Potiphar that bought him. So, so the opposite is happening. Joseph thinks he will become grander and grander. He thinks he will be promoted to be king of Beersheba, or king of the Philistines. I don't know what he thought, but he never thought that he will be sold and become a slave. Now suddenly, he better learn how to work hard, and all his cleverness, now he must put it to practice. And he's far from his father, he's far from his family. He can't even speak Egyptian. It's a strange country, and I think he was scared, very scared. So now all the stories his dad told him about God and the angels and everything, now suddenly he must apply that. I think every night he prayed. Well, I think he prayed the whole day. Father God, God of my father Jacob, please be with me. Please don't forget me. Sorry, Lord, I was a pain to my brothers, I was full of myself. Forgive me, God. Lord, please help me that they don't kill me. You know, it was me. I would pray a lot the whole time. So, yeah, the second picture, he is now working on a farm, a huge farm. It was, Potiphar was very rich, and Potiphar noticed something. He noticed that whatever Joseph did, that God was with him, and that God blessed him, and that he had the favor of God. All right, sure. And so because Potiphar saw that Joseph is doing very well, Potiphar decided to promote him. There at least now. Okay, he's still a slave, but now he's in charge of something, of a storeroom, and he's in charge of little things. But and later on, Potiphar saw that, man, whatever Joseph does, he has a good heart. You can trust him. He is faithful. He gets up early in the morning. You know, Joseph learned now from his brothers and from his father that he must work hard. And Potiphar is very impressed. And at the end, Potiphar put him in charge of all his belongings, his house and his farm, of everything. He made him the slave in charge of the other slaves. And I think he got better treatment also. And so, but I think what we must learn is that I think he forgave his brothers. I think his father Jacob taught him about forgiveness, because Esau forgave Jacob. And Jacob gave him a lot of teaching about having a pure heart, not to be bitter, forgive your brothers the way my brother forgave me. How Esau forgave Jacob for deceiving him and stealing his birthright. So Jacob made sure that his heart is pure, that he forgave his brothers, that he lives right and make the right decisions. All right. So and then Joseph, he's doing the right thing. And then one day Potiphar's wife came, as you know, and she nagged every day that he must go sleep with her every day, because she saw he's very handsome and he's smart, and she was in love with him. So she was a naughty girl, and one day she grabbed him and she threw him on the bed, jumped on him, and she said, "Come, sleep with me." Now, if you see that in a movie today, it is wicked how James Bond and all these guys, they barely know the woman and they will sleep with any woman. No, don't do that. You must do what Joseph did. He jumped up and ran away. He hated sin and he loved God. And he said to her, "Your husband trusts me. I'm doing what is right. I hate what is evil. I don't want to do what you are saying. This is wrong. This is going to hurt your husband." So he jumped up and ran away, and she lied. She said, "He tried to rape me." So her husband believed her, and oops, he's going down, down, down. Now it's getting worse. Now he's underground. He's put in jail underground. So instead of going up, 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 moon and stars bowing before him, his life is getting worse. Now, as he sits there down in the dungeon with rats and poo, I don't know if they have even toilets there, they're not bathing. The food they get there, I don't know what they ate, but I I don't know, maybe these guys died of hunger and of sickness because it was just filthy down there in the jail. And he sits there and he thinks, says, Lord, I don't understand. You gave me a dream that I will become important, that I will be a ruler, that my brothers will bow before me. But my life is opposite. I was a slave, and now I'm in jail, and life is not fair. But I forgive. Okay, so now again, you must forgive that woman, because if you can't forgive, the bitterness will be like cancer. It will eat you up. Joseph learned to forgive. And even in jail, the God saw that God is with Joseph, that Joseph is healthy, and that he can trust Joseph. He even gave Joseph keys to some of the doors. He put Joseph in charge of the jail. Okay, not the first day. After a while, after a few years, he realized Joseph has leadership skills. Joseph he has the Spirit of God. He has the favor of God. God is with him. And whatever he does, he's successful. And so even there, in jail, God's favor is there. Okay. And he learns to work hard. He learns to understand how people feel. He knows how slaves feel, how it feels to be in jail. He knows all the problems of the country of Egypt, and he learns a lot. And he becomes strong. Where he had soft hands, he has now tough hands, and he's super strong and fit. All right. So I'm going to end this lesson. Next time we will carry on. I think this is what we can learn from Joseph so far. Live close to God. He didn't have a Bible. There was no Bible. There was no law. The Ten Commandments didn't exist. The Ten Commandments came only when Moses, and that's only 500 years later. So there was no Bible. The only thing he had was God. So he would just pray to God. And number 2, forgive. Don't keep bitterness. It doesn't matter how unfair life is. Doesn't matter how angry you get. Keep your heart pure. Now, as you become a teenager, that means your mind also. Okay, keep your heart pure. They say they found some brain cells in your heart. Every human being has brain cells in your heart. There's a medical doctor that discovered brain cells in your heart. So King David was totally right when he says, I meditate your word in my heart. So keep your heart and your thoughts pure. Don't think about sexual things and under the belt things, that kind of things. Don't let it captivate your attention and make you a slave of pornography. I know as a teenager, you want to know the facts of life and you are interested in the opposite gender, but learn from Joseph. Run away from what you know is wrong. Keep your heart pure. Pure from sexuality, things that are wrong, and pure from hate, pure from anger, pure from bitterness. All right. Hate what is evil, love what is good. Integrity. Integrity means that you're always the same. If some people in front of your parents, you are like this. You're an angel. In front of the teachers, you are a saint. But in front of your friends, you are the devil. And they know how much you swear and lie. But in front of your parents, and at school you get that a lot. Parents will come to me and say, my child will never lie. My child doesn't swear. And then the opposite. is happening at school, and the poor parent doesn't know. So integrity means you are the same person. You don't wear masks. You're always in the light. You have no shadows. You have nothing to hide. Okay. You always do what is right. And faithfulness. Faithfulness means people can trust you. If they give you a job to do, you will do it and you will complete it immediately, totally, and with a happy heart. Faithfulness. All right. Faithfulness is part of the fruit of the Spirit also. And lastly, what we can learn from Joseph, God was with him. That made the big difference. Everyone could see Joseph is different, that God is with him. Guys, I tell you one thing. You can look for trouble with your mom, dad, me, anyone, the president, police, but don't upset God. Okay? You must stay in the good books of God, because no one can live without God. Your life will be a mess without God. You need the favor of God. Okay? Live right. Make the right decisions. Be considerate. Make the right decisions. Don't be lazy. Work hard. Be disciplined. And we have different personalities. Doesn't matter. Find out what is my weaknesses and work at it. Learn to forgive. Learn to let go. Keep peace and happiness in your heart. The joy of the Lord is my strength. All right. So our time is up. And I hope you learned a lot and enjoyed this. So next time we're going to see what happens next with Joseph. And then hopefully, I hope you go to your Bible, Genesis 39, 37 and to 50, and read about it. It's very interesting what happens next. Now, you see, I can't tell you everything because I don't have time. But if you go to your Bible and you read through it, then you can read the detail that I can't say. But God bless you and apply what you have learned. Make your parents proud, but the best, make God proud. Integrity, be the same person. Be your own prefect. Don't wait for prefects to tell you what to do. You know what is right. Do what is right, eh? All right. God bless you.